So here we are, still at Dorylaeum. On the last video I was talking about the Crusaders using their next turn to try to clear up the cluster that they have down near their standard. Really the camp and the chaos that has caused. But when I looked, I said, I'm going to move the Normans. They're in a position, they've got a low leader value. I'm not going to get a re-roll on them. And this is the kind of choice that so often permeates this game. Do I want to use these guys? And they really did need to do something. But then I used them to attack rather than to pull back and try to regroup because they were in fairly good shape. They've wiped out most of, this is all that's left, most of, whatever this is. I don't know, some force of, I don't know what those are, Deshmuds. I don't even know what they are, but they managed to kill the leader of that group. And now we see we're up to 32, which means we're getting, dangerously close to flight levels for the Seljuks. But, then I roll to try to move Tancred, because he's got a 3, he's got a better chance. Well, that's still not a very good chance. And ended up not getting anything done there, not getting a continuation over on one of these guys with better leadership. It's one of the risks you play, but it's going to be kind of painful because there are these nice big formations of Seljuks that are able to do a lot more than the smaller Crusader formations. It's not entirely clear to me what the Crusader formations are. So normally the color stripe would be an indication. Here the color stripe for the Sicilians has the foot and the calf with the same color, as an example. Same with the Normans. And I don't know if that means that, but they have separate leaders. I don't know if that means that they can command both together. I've been playing it that they have to command them as separate commands. But it really doesn't make sense to have leaders in this system who don't have commands unless they have some special rules for them. So, and shared command doesn't really work either. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'm playing them as separate commands, but it's again a little disturbance along with the color printing that happened. The issue over here. These are different color, should be different formations, share one leader, share one setup set. Bothersome. Alright. Okay. There's a couple of Seljuk activations. Swept down, drove away the remainder of the Toulouse forces and smashed into Peter the Hermit's troops. They're just so easy to beat. I even actually attacked, and the archery wasn't doing very well, but straight out attacks on them disordered them. And then slammed against, I guess, the remainder, what are these, Normans? Remainder of the Normans. And there were like 3 units. This was kind of interesting. You just saw this flow of because there weren't many Normans, so it couldn't be done the way I've been normally attacking, which is forward, back, and there was no point to that. So instead it was just passing by them and shooting them in passing, which was really, really cool looking as it was happening. I would love to see Hipshot's image of something like that happening. Just seeing that in real time was great. But basically, it's just one unit at a time would ride by and shoot, and they were very ineffectual. Nothing died. A couple got retired. This guy actually survived and destroyed a Seljuk unit, but it was really cool to watch. And so we got this command stretching down to here, and now it's going to be a Crusader turn, and there's just isn't a lot there. Really got to get this organized, and that's going to be my main goal at this point, is to try to get that organized while maybe smashing in with this, but ow. It doesn't look good as long as there's that big central mass, and those infantry are so ripe for the picking. There is nothing they can do unless they're, except for the archers that are there. It's crossbowmen. Crossbowmen can shoot. They can shoot once. Archers here are going to be... They're very deadly because they can shoot as you're coming in and shoot in return fire to what you shot. So they're really, really hard to deal with. But the pikemen, they're just sitting meat. I mean, I can't charge them like I did the rabble back here, but they're just free points for the thing. Speaking of points, where are we? Well, this is one of the problems. The Seljuks are up to 34. They're only 11 points away from flight, whereas the Crusaders are a good, 22 points away at 48. Now, things look bad for the Crusaders, but that's a lot of points to get, especially since so many of their points are tied up in these retired. I mean, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 15 of their points are tied up in that. And it's not going to be trivial to get them all back, though, because they're from different commands, and they have to move them next to the banner and then do the rally, and they have to clear the space out that's next to the banner. And that's going to be, it's kind of a nightmare to handle, but I think it has to be done in order to fight this battle long enough before that mass just routs and then it's just over. Okay, unfortunately my electricity went out. However, I have enough light, as you can see, to almost play, so since it caught me in the middle of an action, I want to capture some of that here. Even so, now let's see what I can do. So I was with the Crusader turn, and I started by pulling back, and let's see if we can see them, those Sicilian infantry. You'll see this kind of a hole forming where maybe I can start moving some knights in and rallying. However, because the leaders back there aren't very good, and I wanted to smack into these decent, let's see if I can get my shadow out of the way, Seljuk units down here, I launched an attack from the fighting bishop, and he smashed in, well, among other things, the infantry moved forward and attacked some of the horsemen. Now, for the most part, they can retreat, but disordered ones can't, so they were able to get a shot off from some crossbowmen and also engage. I think they forced it back. Mainly, though, they're clearing this log jam up. Now, they're putting units out of command, which isn't great, but those can sweep around and come back. They've really got to try to get that traffic jam cleared up so that they can start rallying troops, and it seemed like the best way was take offense. But down here, we've still got a couple continuing attacks, but they've just slammed into the rear of the Seljuk line of Cav, and are really doing a number on them, I think. Alright, let me get back to playing. Oh look, there's light again. I guess there was an eclipse. Alright, so looking at what was kind of there, we had this, we pushed the Normans' Cav out of the way, and we see the Sicilian pikemen had moved forward. I tried to show that before. Oh, what do we got here? Wow, I needed to move this guy. God. Yeah, we got some pieces I forgot to move, partially probably because of the stupid color similarity. But I've started a series of raids against Admir's forces, Bishop's forces. And I'm going to be pulling out and heading back there, I believe, to try to get rid of this last Cav. Okay, I'm going to leave the failed continuation or to move things here at last. But here's where we are. They got rid of a couple more of those Lipulian cav. We're seeing points. Wow. We're at 35 for the Seljuks and 51 for the Crusaders. Now, why are the Crusaders so high? You know, I tried moving guys out. I haven't gotten a chance to rally more, and we've got so many retired markers on the board that I'm out of them. I probably should think about fishing them out of the other Men of Iron. But this mass is so hard to cope with. You know, I can get one thing done out of there on the automatic initiative at a time, probably. And I've really got to focus on doing that. I just started, but as I clear space, look, it's filling up again. You know, the holes that I made, they're filling up. Now they're filling up with guys I can rally, but that takes an action, and then it's going to take at least one more action to get the new guys out of there. Maybe more if they're more than one command, and then another action to move other people who are out of command closer in, or who are not retired closer in, or who are retired closer in, so that they can rally. Pain in the butt. At the same time, I've got to try not to lose the battle out here. You know, I mean, there's significant losses here that the Crusaders have taken, and if those get too high, it doesn't matter how much I cure these guys, but right now these guys are still a significant part of the points against me. I've only got 20 more points that I can lose. On the other hand, the Seljuks only have 10 more points that they can lose, so maybe it's best to just try to wipe them out. That's been what I've been doing mostly, and I just don't think that I can solve this problem very easily. So for my auto activation, I sent Stephen of Blois forward. He actually smacked into a Seljuk cav that had nowhere to retreat to and was able to kill it that way with pikemen. He's mainly pushing forward. No continuation. It's back over to the Seljuk turn, but getting this extra space should be helpful. That'll allow me to get the Sicilian Knights out of the rally zone. Most of them are in good shape. You know, I could have just rallied 3 guys next to the standard, but that seemed like a waste. I would have liked to have been able to get Admar moving, but you know, the roll wasn't there. Lots of choices for the Seljuks. Sweeping in and hitting the infantry from behind, easy points, no risk. Instead, though, they go with the Cappadocians and smashed into Admar's forces, and he's not gone, but he's down to 3 units. More clutter in here now. Some of that's worth just rallying, but it's getting hard to get out again. The whole plan was to try to get these Sicilian Knights out of there. Well, now they're blocking part of it again. It's still only 3 units that can rally. He's going to have to move the Sicilian infantry before he moves the knights. As soon as that happens, I'm sure another unit will fall in there. It's such a traffic jam, but it's what he has to do. All right, I'm sending this one up. It's hard to tell who's who because everybody's blue, but again, this is sort of the Crusader line, as it were. It's gotten a lot more of a line now that there's a lot less knights there. The things that are kind of messing it up are the Seljuks, but you know, we get this nice solid line of pikes, which is impressive to me given the nature of this battle. Alright, so one of the great vagaries of this system, here we are in Dorylaeum, and it's over. Oh, well, I swept in with the Cappadocians, smacked the remainder of, I don't even know what they are. I think Toulouse, yeah. The remainder of the Toulouse Knights out of the way. Pretty much destroyed Peter's rabble. Took some losses myself. So the points were at 36, 37 to 63. Well, then I rolled dice, and the Seljuks got a 9, and I don't remember what the Crusaders got, but it was fairly low. 9 plus whatever we had in points puts us over the 45. And this chart's misprinted. It goes 45 twice. Which means this should be here. Whereas the Crusaders just missed going over. That means the Seljuk army breaks and leaves, and they lose. It's that simple. You win or lose this game, and any in this series, pretty much by whose army breaks first. And there's no pursuit or anything handled in the game. Chances are those medium cav can get out of there. They might take some losses trying to extricate themselves over here a little bit, but for the most part, they're out of there. So, you know, this is one of the things that always leaves me a little bit meh about the system. Is it's a lot of fun, and then it's so random. You know, this was a closely fought battle, but the Seljuks break in the end. I'm going to just attach this to the previous video because almost nothing happened since then. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was interesting. Some games of this, very clearly one side has the advantage or the other does. I'm talking about in one particular battle, not once playing of a battle. Not necessarily the battle itself, although some of the Men of Iron battles are definitely very, very unbalanced. This one I had the feeling the Seljuks should have been at a disadvantage, but it felt like they were giving as well as they took. And the fact that, 7-point difference here, 8-point difference here, well, they were. They were giving better than they took in a sense, except the knights are worth more or whatever. But, I find it an interesting thing. I don't mind that the game ends when it does, but I could see some people being really, really disturbed by this series just because, oh man, I was ahead in points. How come I lost? Well, sometimes battles go that way. All right, so I'm going to pack this up.